How's it going, everybody? Thanks a ton for tuning in and welcome back to the Have a Go Talk Show. I'm your host, Dylan Saucedo, and today we're back to break down some Week 11 MLR results as well as some Week 12 picks and predictions as well as some power rankings. Amazing stuff over Week 11. We had 7 matches being played in the MLR, all of that starting on Tuesday night with RFCLA at New England. Now, New England taking this one at home 23-21 on Tuesday night. An amazing match there to kick off Week 11. Obviously, New England coming on a quick turnaround. I believe they had a game the week before that and were able to come out, get a result on Tuesday night, and then had a good week of rest. I know some of their players were taking some vacations with the families and just getting a little bit of rest and away from the game. So amazing stuff to see there. But New England staying at number 2 in our power rankings this week. Obviously, a great performance by them, a couple of those stacked in a row. But we just think that Utah, a little bit better of an eye test. Obviously, Free Jacks were able to get a win over Utah just a few weeks ago when we last attended the Warriors match. But, New England staying hot, but Utah, scoring a ton of points, scoring some amazing tries, and beating some really good teams by a lot of points. So we're going to keep our eye on both of those teams as we move throughout the season. Obviously, Utah sitting at number 1 this week. Chicago falling down a couple of spots, but again, that's top 3 kind of interchangeable at this moment. Obviously, Chicago 0-2 to Utah this season, so we got to move Utah up. But yeah, that's kind of the results for there. Finishing or starting off 1-0 in Week 11 with our Free Jacks being our pick for that one. And moving into that second match of the week, we also had one on Wednesday. This was Seawolves at the Anthem. Now, amazing match here. 9 different players from the Seawolves scoring tries in that match. And Anthem putting in a good performance for the first couple of minutes, but just not being able to have that go throughout the game. Seawolves win that one 60-19 in a massive, massive road win for them to start off Week 11. They actually had 2 games in Week 11, so Sunday and Wednesday, excuse me. But amazing performances from the Seawolves this week, and they stay even in our power rankings as well as in the Western Conference standings. So moving on to that next game. Now, this one was a nail biter. We had the Cali Cup. It was San Diego Legion versus RFCLA at Wallace Andbrick Stadium. Now, LA coming off of a big loss to New England, a 2-point loss there on Tuesday night. Now, Saturday, an amazing match here, a nail biter. San Diego showing some of that spirit they showed in the first few weeks of the season, and LA just falling short a couple of games in a row now. I think that's 3 losses in a row for them. And now Legion flipping the script on their season. They started 5-0, had 4 tough losses in a row. Now just got that first win back on a good streak. So a good win for San Diego. We actually picked RFCLA to win the second one. So starting off 2-1 on the weekend. Not a tough one, or not too tough there, but San Diego showing some good spirit. Not sure that they're going to be able to compete with some of these other teams in the league. So we did keep them at the same spot in our power rankings, but we're going to keep our eye on San Diego as they've been a force to be reckoned with at the beginning of the year. Now their attacks started to get a little bit more easy to defend, I guess. Teams are starting to focus on that. We talked about that last week as well. So we're going to keep our eye on San Diego moving throughout the rest of the year. Next match to kick off Saturday, the second match of Saturday, we had Old Glory at the Houston SaberCats. Now, this one, a great match. Obviously, Old Glory playing some great rugby over the past few weeks. Had a couple of close, tough losses, but, Houston always strong at home. We mentioned that last week, and that's why we picked Houston to win this one, and they did 48-27 on the weekend. Now, I wasn't able to watch this match completely, but was able to watch some of the highlights. Houston SaberCats maul has just been amazing this season, and their forward pack's been putting in some great work. Their kicking game is pretty phenomenal as well. So the Houston SaberCats are getting into our minds, getting into that eye test, and definitely moving up a few spots. I think they sit at number 4 this week in our power rankings. We'll take a look at that here in a couple of minutes. Next game on the weekend, we were actually able to attend this one. So Chicago at Utah, amazing matchup there. And these teams actually played in week 2 of the MLR season. Now, Utah getting the road win there against Chicago early on in the year, but Chicago coming back to Utah on the road. Now, their second matchup of the season, and Utah, man, came out super hot. Both of these teams putting in a great performance, but Utah sealed the deal in the second half with the backing of their home fans. Obviously, Angus McClellan with his 100th cap, first American-born player to earn 100 caps with one team in the MLR. So congratulations to him. Amazing performance by himself. He started at number 3. The Utah Warriors scrum and maul was just amazing for them on the weekend, and the Hounds put some great work in the forward pack as well, but just weren't strong enough for Utah on the day. Utah win that one 41-31, making our record for Week 11 go to, I believe, 1, 2, 3, 4, 4, and 1 to start off Week 11. So amazing stuff there, and only one loss there coming from RFCLA over or under San Diego Legion. So great way to start off Week 11 there, and an amazing time at that Utah Warriors game. Now I'll tell you what, one of the things that we talked about a couple weeks ago was the fan impact of these teams, seeing the fans at the games and kind of how that works. The Utah Warriors are doing something right. There's teams across the league like Chicago, like the Free Jacks, like Seattle, who have these massive fan bases. But man, Utah putting in some amazing stuff in their marketing, getting number one, getting our University of Utah men and women's rugby teams out there to the game. They contacted us, asked us for some tickets. So shout out to the Warriors, but they're doing some great stuff in terms of the fans, in terms of the community. And I want to keep that in mind. That's part of the reason why they moved up to number one. Obviously, a couple of big results as well in some of their recent form, but that fan impact playing a big role for Utah and moving them up a couple spots this last week. Moving on to the rest of the games on Sunday, we had Seawolves at NOLA. Now, this one was a nail biter of a match as well. Started the game off with a big rain delay, so I think about 30, 45 minutes worth of rain delay. This one was a humid game. The conditions played a part for sure. We saw the loose ball being a massive piece of this one, and obviously the scrum playing a big part as well with all the knock-ons and all the loose balls, etc. An amazing match here from the Seawolves. A great performance by them, but not strong enough for NOLA. We actually picked NOLA to win this one. Seawolves coming in with almost the same lineup from game 1 to game 2 this week. They played on Wednesday and on Sunday. Obviously, the bodies taking a little bit of a beat down in that big win against Anthem, and then not being able to put it over the line just enough for NOLA. And so a tough result there for Seattle. NOLA, I think, stayed the same, maybe moved up one spot in our rankings this week, but a great performance by NOLA. Some great fan impact out there as well. Not as great as some of the other teams, but definitely something to pay attention to throughout the rest of the year. Seattle, that clutch factor is going to play a part for them as we move throughout the year. They're sitting at the bottom of the Western standings right now. Need them to get a couple of wins and kind of move themselves into a better position. But 1-1 in Week 11, not the worst thing in the world. NOLA go on to win that one, 44-36, and that moves me to 5-1 on my Week 11 picks. Last match of the weekend. Now wrapping up Week 11, seventh match of the week. We had Anthem traveling to Miami. Miami with the home match, and man, they did something right this weekend. Miami comes out, scores a crap load of points in the first half. Anthem able to get their first try over just before the halftime, maybe just after. But Miami win this one 31-5. Obviously missing Shane O'Leary, their amazing kicker. He's been a great impact this year. But some of those other players stepping up, moving into different roles. I think a new 15 was playing on the weekend. And Miami get the win 31-5. Now we moved them up quite a few spots in our power rankings. Miami just had some amazing results coming off of a couple of tough losses at the beginning of the year, and they're showing they're a team to be reckoned with. They're a side that's going to put out a great performance against you, and they're making sure the East knows they're here to play. Obviously, Miami, a lot of international stars there, a lot of experience there as well. They're putting that to use now, coming together, getting that chemistry right, and they're playing some great rugby. So Miami finished off Week 11 with the win, and that moves me to 6-1. No, 6-1. 5-2 on my Week 11 picks. Anthem was our pick for that last one, and unfortunately, not being able to get the win there. Now we keep saying Anthem's going to get a win, Anthem's going to get a win, Anthem's going to get a win, and I believe that. But I do think that Anthem needs to change a couple of things, right? Obviously, they came with a different lineup in that first game against Seattle this week, but their starting full lineup coming out against the Miami Sharks on Sunday. I just don't know what they need to do, but they need to do something, right? Their attack's looking good, their defense is looking good, but there's just some big plays that are getting in the way of their results. Miami obviously coming away with a couple of streaking tries down the field, a couple of kick chases as well. So I think the back three might need to do a little bit of work. Obviously, we've got some big veterans in that group, right? We've got Connor Mooneyham, Toby Fricker, Mitch Wilson, even coming out of the Free Jacks last year. Three amazing players, and they've been doing a great job to try and work that kick, work that that counterattack, and we just need to see a little bit more of that. I think their defense needs a little bit more oomph, and obviously their maul has been playing a big part in some of these losses this year. So we're gonna see Anthem turn it around at some point. Just not sure when that's gonna be. Like we mentioned again, 10 players named to the USA extended roster for this summer. So they've got some talent, they've got some experience, they've got some leaders on their team. They just need to put it all together, get a good win for their side. It's tough to go 0-10, 0-11 now to start the season. It's a tough race to get back into that winning mindset, into that winning mentality. But these players know how to do it. They've been on teams before that have done it. Jake Turnbull, been in the league for such a long time. He knows how to win games, right? We need to see a little bit more of those veteran, leaders stepping up. And I'm really excited to watch Anthem throughout the rest of the year. A big matchup coming up for them here this next weekend, and we'll get right into that after the standings. So after week 11, we've got some different standings. Zero movement in the West, so all of these teams kind of sat even in the table. Utah, obviously, with a big win. Houston as well, so Houston stays above them. San Diego and LA, obviously splitting the week. LA coming 1-1. San Diego getting a big win there. So San Diego moved to 6-4. Now 4 points above LA and 5 below Utah. So a little bit of a separation there. But Seattle with one big win in the bonus point, 2 bonus points actually on the week. They get 25 points to their name, now only 2 below LA for that 4th playoff spot in the West. So amazing stuff there. We're going to keep our eye on those Western Conference standings. In the East, it's moving week. We saw a lot of movement. New England obviously moving up above Chicago with the loss there, the 2 tough losses in a row for Chicago. NOLA moves up a spot as well as Miami. DC moving down a spot or 2. Only 1 point separates those 3 teams, as we can see in the graphic here. Thank you, MLR. Anthem still 5 points to their name on the year. Obviously a tough start for them, but we just talked about it. Hoping to see them put some things together and some of those leaders step up in some of these bigger matchups. So amazing stuff for the conference standings there. Now moving into our power rankings. So we talked about this just a little bit. Week 12 coming at us real fast. We got a matchup on Wednesday, so we'll talk about that in just a second here. But taking a look at our power rankings, we talked about Utah moving them up a couple spots. Obviously 2 big wins over Chicago this year. Chicago moving down a couple of spots with their 2 tough results in a row. Free Jacks staying even. We know they're a strong side, but Utah's fan impact pushing them above the Free Jacks this week. Houston move up with a couple of solid wins, some of that clutch factor being a play for them. Miami moving up with their wins as well, a couple of great performances in a row for them. NOLA Gold State even, as well as Old Glory, Seattle, San Diego, and Anthem, but RFCLA moving down a couple of spots. They had a rough start to the year, a fast kind of break back into the league, and now 2 tough losses in a row this week in a couple of days apart. So we're gonna keep our eye on RFCLA. Again, we keep saying that, but guys like Reese McDonald, guys like Bertrand, they have amazing IQ, amazing leadership. We're gonna see some of that come into play for RFCLA the rest of this year, and we really want to see them make the playoffs this year for the first time and put LA back on the map in the rugby world. So it would be amazing for sure. Not sure what they're going to need to do it, but we're going to keep our eye on RFCLA. So that'll do it for our Week 11 MLR Power Rankings here at the Have a Go Talk Show. Give us your takes in the comments, man. I really want to hear what you guys think about this, right? I saw Will Hooley and them. They put the Free Jacks above the Warriors, Chicago moving down, and the SaberCats moving into number 3 spot. I agree with that in terms of the results, but I think the Utah fan impact, all of their, clutch moments they've had this year, I think that moves them up to that number 1 spot. So I want to hear your takes. Throw them down in the comments, and maybe even send me a little message about what I'm doing wrong here at the Have a Go Talk Show. So amazing stuff there. And power rankings, we have results, we have standings. Now we have more matchups coming up this week. So Wednesday night at Zions Bank Stadium, we have San Diego Legion on the road against the Utah Warriors. Now San Diego coming away with a good result against RFCLA, but Utah, now the number 1 team in the league for me, playing some great rugby. They're at home again. I'm going to take the Utah Warriors to win this one in dominant fashion. San Diego, their 7-style attack is going to need to come alive in this game, but I think Utah's defense is going to be too much for them. So we're going to take Utah in that first match on the week. Now, a couple of days rest. If we go to Friday, we have RFCLA at Seattle Seawolves. Now, the first matchup for these teams in quite a while. RFCLA coming away with 2 tough losses last week, but I think some great learning experiences. And then Seattle, obviously, putting in 2 great performances, scoring 100 points in 1 week, which is just amazing. I'm going to have to take Seattle on this one. Now, back at Starfire Stadium, I know Seattle's strong at home, but I do know the RFCLA is also great on the road. It's going to be a great matchup, but I do think that Seattle takes it in the win. I think their backs are just going to prove to be too much for RFCLA. Devan Rousseau, some of those guys, Jade Styling, obviously scoring some streaking tries, and I think they're going to be a little bit too much for RFCLA. So that's our pick for that one. 2-0, hopefully, to start Week 12 off. And we've got 7 matches this week, so now we have 4 on Sunday. Now moving into Sunday, we have Houston SaberCats taking on the New England Free Jacks at Veterans Memorial Stadium. Now, Houston playing some great rugby, but only at home, right? We've seen them struggle on the road this year, struggle in some of those other conditions. Now, New England, always a strong side at home. We know they're going to put in the great performance, and they've been absolutely electric in terms of their backline play, their attacking set pieces, and some of those mauls have just been powerful for the New England Free Jacks. Moving in and leaning in a little bit to that Three Jacks kind of ideology there. I want to take New England in this one. I think I'm going to. Houston on the road, just don't think they're going to be strong enough for New England. We're going to take the Free Jacks to win that one in Week 12. Now, Old Glory and Utah Warriors, this will be Utah's second game of the week, obviously starting that off on Wednesday night at home. Now on the road against Old Glory at the Maryland Soccer Complex. Man, this is going to be a tough game as well. Old Glory, strong at home. Most teams actually are. But Utah, perfect on the road this season. I'm going to have to take Utah to go 2-0 in Week 12 and get the big win there over Old Glory. Now, an amazing matchup coming to fruition there, and we're going to definitely pay attention to that one. But, I think Utah's going to be too strong. Their maul's been amazing. Old Glory's been having some trouble in terms of the set pieces, right? I think Utah's going to be too strong for them on the day. Two last matches of Week 12 here. We've got Miami Sharks at the Chicago Hounds. Now, Miami playing some great rugby. Their back line has just been phenomenal. They've been scoring some streaking tries, all of the above. But Chicago needed a great performance to come up this weekend. They've had two tough ones in a row, and I think I'm going to take Chicago in this one. They're back at SeatGeek Stadium, back in Chicago, back at home. The Hounds always show out. The fans are definitely there, and I think the Hounds are going to be a little bit too much for Miami this weekend. Now, Miami been putting in some great performances, but I do know that it's going to be a tough one for them to go on the road into Chicago and go win that game. So an afternoon game actually for them. Going to be a big one for sure on Sunday afternoon. Now, last match of Week 12, we got NOLA Gold taking on San Diego in San Diego's second match of the week. And NOLA, have been playing some great rugby, put a great performance in against against Seattle. A lot of points being scored by NOLA Gold and a lot of maul tries being scored by them as well. We see the foot be a big problem, or a big benefit for them. Luke Hardy putting in some great performances with his boot, scoring a lot of points this season. San Diego give up quite a bit of penalties and give some opportunities for some of those points. I think NOLA's going to be a little bit too much for San Diego. We're going to take NOLA in that last game of the week at Torero Stadium. I know the fans are going to show out for that one, right? Obviously, University of San Diego will be at the national tournament this weekend, but the fans are going to play a part. I do think, though, the NOLA Gold is going to be too much for San Diego Legion. So that'll wrap it up for our Week 12 picks and predictions. Now, hoping to go undefeated here. Again, like we mentioned, not trying to be right with every pick, right? But just giving my input on it and kind of what I think is going to happen. Really like making these predictions and, seeing how they, kind of end up at the end of the week. Obviously, finishing 5-2 last week. We've got another opportunity to go undefeated this week. 7 games in our back pocket, and we're very excited for it. So we're going to take a look at some of those matchups this week. And yeah, that'll do it for Week 12, our picks and predictions, and our Week 11 recap. Thanks a ton for joining the Have a Go Talk Show today here on the show. We are actually heading out to LA this weekend, so going to the LA Sevens. We'll be out there making some content. Join us, and really excited to chat with you guys, connect with some people, and meet some players, of course, as well. Going to be doing some interviews, going to be working with some other influencers, and getting some content out there for you guys. Very excited to get down to LA. We're going to be playing in a tournament on Thursday and then actually attending the World Series on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Playing on Friday, attending the tournament on Saturday and Sunday. So very excited for the weekend, a big travel weekend, and actually wrapping up my second year here at the University of Utah. So amazing stuff there. Got finals week, match week, and a big media week to go. So a lot on our plate right now, but we're working on it. And we're going to get those videos out to you guys. We're going to post we're also going to post a little bit of that recap from last year's LA Sevens. Very excited for it. So thanks a lot for joining us today on the Have a Go Talk Show. When you're done, like, comment, share, and subscribe at Have a Go Talk Show on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. Cheers.